Everyone can see the PowerPoint? Okay. Hi, everyone, and nice to have you here to listen to my lecture. First and foremost, I want to say that I'm not a vet. Everything in this lecture is informative. If you are in any doubt about your dog's health, please contact your veterinarian. Also, keep in mind that every fetal product and supplement may have contraindications, which means they cannot be used in every circumstance. Look up these contraindications before using these products. Normally this was my introduction, but Laura introduced me. I only want to say that I'm Kathleen. I'm the youngest of a family of 8. Where different animals were always part of our lives. This ranges from dogs and cats to sheep and pigs. So the love for animals, and in particular for dogs, was taught at a young age. So yeah, that's me. Now that the introduction is over, we can start. We only have 1 hour to discuss these topics on the slide. It's not the intention to go deeply in every topic. I want to provide you with certain topics so you can think about them, look them up, or contact specialists to find out more about them. Some things are mentioned twice during the lecture. That is because they are very applicable to the subject at that moment. If I still go too fast from one slide to the other, please send a message in the chat and Laura will give me a sign. It's also not the intention to argue about which food is the best and which is the worst. That's not the intention of this lecture. So does food make the dog? Yes, and I will explain why. The body exists of cells. All those cells have a specific function, like brain cells, nerve cells, epidermis cells. To carry out their function, the cells need fuel and they need catalysts. Catalysts, or another name is cofactors, you can compare with give gas while driving a car. If you don't step on the gas, the car will go forward, but much slower than you do step on the gas. This is the same for cofactors, catalysts, which ensure that processes in the body run optimally. If these are not available or not enough, certain processes can't proceed optimal or cannot proceed at all. So the right fuel and cofactors need to be in the food the dog eats. So if the food does not exist of the right macro and micronutrients, some processes in the body are in danger, and this can lead to physical and psychological problems. For example, the neurotransmitter serotonin. If you can see on the diagram, it's in Dutch. I couldn't find an English one. Serotonin is produced in the body through the conversion of certain amino acids from the diet. But to be able to do these conversions, various cofactors are needed, such like iron, calcium, B vitamins, magnesium. But what if those cofactors are not present or not present enough in the body? Or what if other processes in the body need those cofactors more? For example, during stress. Then much less serotonin is produced, which leads to more anxiety and depressive feelings. So cofactors are really important in the body. You can test the status of certain cofactors in the body. If for one reason or another, a blood test is necessary for me or for one of my dogs, I also always have B12, folic acid, and zinc checked. Like with our youngest dogs, we have the blood tests once a year. And with our older dogs, this can go up to 2 times or more per year. If we notice that a dog is not feeling well and does not pass quickly enough, we do a blood test. You should not expect miracles from a blood test, but you can rule out a few things with it. Also, something to think about are the free radicals. They are created in the body during the processes or can be created by external influences. Medical use releases them, but also digesting food releases free radicals. The body needs some free radicals, but there are too much to. Sorry, the body needs free radicals, but when there are too much, they needed to be catched. Too much free radicals can damage, for example, the DNA, and damaged DNA can lead to diseases. Vitamin A, vitamin C, E, for example, are antioxidants, so they can catch the too much of the free radicals. And where can antioxidants be found in? Like in berries. Berries are full of antioxidants. So give your dog some berries as an extra with a meal or a snack in between. Like we grow our own strawberries and without any form of pesticides, and let our dogs enjoy them. Some of our dogs even go and pick them themselves if they are able to. We don't let them. Yeah, they can go to it if we are there, but not always, or otherwise we don't have any strawberries left. The food, if we look what's in the food, we have macronutrients and micronutrients. Micronutrients. The macronutrients are energy suppliers. The macro and the micronutrients keep processes in the body running. Fat is a micronutrient. Dogs have a greater capacity to burn fats than humans, but that does not mean that we can give our dog a diet that exists of 50% of fat. The pancreas will not be happy with that, and the body will also have too little amino acids to keep processes going on. It's important to know that there are different fats. The saturated, like coconut oil, and the unsaturated, like fish oil, olive oil, sunflower oil. Dogs need both of them, but more the unsaturated. Unsaturated oils are the omegas, like the 3, 6, 7, and 9. It's important to know that there is a ratio from 1 up to 1 up to 4 for the omega-3 and the omega-6. The omega-3 is an anti-inflammatory oil, and the omega-6 is a pro-inflammatory oil. But they are both needed in the body because sometimes an inflammation is needed to start the healing process. Am I going too fast, or is it okay?
It's okay for me because I'm an English speaker. Anyone else care to say?
Nobody is saying anything?
You're all right?
All fine.
Okay.
Absolutely perfect.
Where was I? Yeah, the healing process. But you also have to keep in mind that oils oxidize under the influence of oxygen, and radish oil is bad for the body. So it's possible to counteract the oxidation of the oil by buying supplements in which the oil is contained in a gel. Here it's impossible for oxygen to get to the oil and to change the oil to oxidated. Giving oil straight from the bottle where fresh air and therefore oxygen can always be added to the oil is only a good idea if the bottle is used up quickly. So when you have a very small bottle or you have lots of dogs like we have, then you can use a bigger bottle. But if you only have one dog, it's better to use the pills or to use a very small bottle. Otherwise, yeah, it's not so good to give it. Another macronutrient is carbs. In grains, fruit, and vegetables, you can find them. These are not essential for the dog because they only give energy. but like you do dog sports, like flyball, you can give them because they give energy quickly. So if you give some carbs just before the game, it's good for their energy. Also, like in a kidney disease, they have their place because you have to have less protein, so you can give carb for the energy. Proteins. Proteins you can find in both sources, like plant-based and animal-based. In the body, the proteins are broken down into amino acids. You have essential amino acids and semi-essential amino acids. The essentials are always needed. They always have to be in the diet. The semi-essentials, that the dog can make it themselves, but in certain, like when we're stressed or something like that, there is not enough in the food, in the body, so you have to add it through food. Proteins are very important for the body for muscle building and repair. And you also have to keep in mind that dogs can be allergic to certain proteins. Still okay with the difference between dogs and humans for amino acids? Humans have 8 essential amino acids. Dogs have 10 essential amino acids. Arginine and histidine are 2 of the extra amino acids dogs need. Normally, there are enough of those in their food if you give a balanced diet. For vitamins, there is also a difference. Unlike humans, dogs can make their own vitamin C. However, like I said before, in certain circumstances, like stress or being ill, there may be a shortage of vitamin C, so it must be included in the diet anyway. So that's a semi-essential vitamin in stress, then it's semi-essential. Like for vitamin D, dogs must absorb vitamin D from their diet. You have to keep in mind that there is a difference between vitamin D from plant-based material or from animal-based. Animal-based vitamin D is up 10 times more effective than plant-based. The vitamin D status also decreases after castration. A neutered male has up to 30% less vitamin D in his body. For females, it's not that much. The vitamin D status is also different between breeds. A German Shepherd has a higher status of vitamin D than, for example, a Golden Retriever. And dogs that receive prednisolone certainly benefit from a good vitamin D status because prednisolone has a negative influence on calcium metabolism and vitamin D has a positive influence. In the first part, we looked at why food makes the dog and what's food made of. In the next part, we will look at which steps the Was I muted?
Yeah, it showed like that, Katleen.
What did you say?
It showed it was muted, the audio.
Okay, and did you hear everything or do I need to
No,
go?
just a part of it. Just the part of it. Beginning of this, that's all.
Okay. Like in the first part, we looked at why food makes the dog and what food is made up of. In the next part, we will look at which steps in the digestion there is and how, if we know that, what the goal is, we can also adjust the diet if necessary. The first step in the digestion is the mouth. As everyone of us already know, dogs' teeth look slightly different from ours. Their teeth are designed to pull and cut large pieces of meat. They can't really chew because they can't move their jaw sideways. What you have to take into account when choosing the right food for our dogs is that puppies do not have all the teeth a grown-up has, and that older dogs sometimes lack teeth. It's also necessary to look at certain breeds in which the skull and therefore also the position of the jaw and teeth is different. So the difference between humans and dogs are that humans can grind plant material and dogs don't. Their jaws cannot move horizontally to each other. So plant material is not chewed, which makes it more difficult to digest. Keeping this in mind, it's necessary to reduce or blend or heat plant material. And people also have the enzyme amylase in their saliva to pre-digest starch, like there is in kibble, like before it reaches the stomach, but dogs have none or very little of it. Then there is the stomach. I think we all know what a dog's stomach looks like. It has an entrance and an exit, and it's secured in the abdominal cavity by straps. The shape of a dog's stomach is slightly different from a human stomach. This allows dogs to vomit just a little bit easier than us. Also, a dog's stomach is very elastic and can therefore handle larger amounts of food per meal. In the stomach, there are glands that produce stomach acid and glands that produce enzyme pepsinogen for the digestion of the food. Sorry, I'm gonna take a nip. The pepsinogen needs to be activated by the acid in the stomach before it can start with breaking down the long protein chains into shorter chains. Normally, a dog's stomach is also more acidic than the content of a human stomach. As humans, we should think of having to digest raw bones. As humans, we shouldn't think about having to digest raw bones, but for dogs, that's normal. The pH in the dog's stomach runs somewhere between 1 and 2, and with humans having a pH between the 3 and 4. There can be various problems with the stomach, all of which are painful and certainly have an impact on the dog's daily life. It's not always easy to determine that the dog has stomach problems. As soon as it's thought there is a stomach tilt or an accumulation of gas in the stomach, it's important to contact your veterinarian immediately and not lose valuable time. Most of the problems with the stomach are partially or completely related to the mucosa. There are several herbs that work great on this, like licorice root. It soothes the mucosa membranes, especially the gastric mucosa. There is also chamomile and how you call it, gember. And don't know the word in English.
Ginger?
There are other, yeah, ginger, yeah, to calm down the stomach. Then there is the pancreas. The pancreas is a type of gland with two specific functions. It empties at the beginning of the small intestine. There is the endocrine function of the pancreas. That means that the pancreas regulates the sugar level in the blood. Glucagon and insulin is produced in the pancreas. Glucagon causes more sugar to enter in the blood. No sugar, so sugar is withdrawn from the cells. Insulin lowers the blood sugar level, so it moves sugars into the cells. The exocrine function is important for digesting food, neutralizing stomach acid before it enters the intestines, and for the production of the intrinsic factor that's important for the absorption of B12. The most common pancreatic problems are acute and chronic inflammation and insufficiency. With all three problems, a vet should definitely be contacted. For both types of pancreatitis, when it's under control, it's best to adjust the menu and keep a close eye on it. An abrupt change in the menu can be a problem, as can fat digestion. But it's not the intention to delete all fats from the menu. Fats are required for the body to function properly. Digestive enzymes or fresh pancreas may be a supportive therapy. There is ook APE, exocrine pancreatic insufficiency. This means the pancreas does not form the digestive enzymes anymore, or not enough, resulting in a strong in a dog that's very hungry and very thin. The stool has a very specific color and smell because of the bad digestion. Because there is a reduced production of digestive enzymes, there must be enzymes added to the meal. You can give enzymes from a jar or a fresh bovine pancreas. Because the pancreas does not work like he has to, there could be a reduced production of the intrinsic factor and therefore a reduced absorption of B12 in the intestines. It's best to check the B12 status regularly to see if it's necessary to give supplements. This is really necessary because B12 is involved in many processes in the body. B12 can be supplemented orally or subcutaneously. Be careful with oral B12 because some contain xylitol, which is toxic for dogs. And some B12 variants are more absorbable than others. A big difference between humans and dogs is that the intrinsic factor for the humans is made in the stomach, and for dogs it's made in the pancreas. Also, furthermore, the blood sugar level must be checked regularly if there is an EP, because the pancreas is responsible for the regulation. Then there is a dog's liver. The main task of the liver, which generally is known, is detoxification, but the liver has several other functions, which some are making digestive juices and being a storage for blood and making hormones. If we take a look at detoxification, parasites, viruses, bacteria, toxins, medications, stress, food can be toxic for the body. And how do we get them out of the dog system? Like detoxing consists of two phases with intermediate metabolites. A single phase can only go well if the previous and or the next one goes well. Each phase needs its specific nutrients. Detoxing is actually a biotransformation, a chemical reaction that changes the structure of the toxic substances. The end results are metabolites, and they are then excreted. The detox will depend on the amount of toxins in the body and how many nutrients are present to detoxify, capacity of the individual, and how well the phases are aligned. In addition to the detox, there is also the function of the storage of nutrients, like vitamin A, vitamin C, D, E, B12, vitamin K, folic acid, iron, copper. With this in mind, we know that raw liver is a source of these micronutrients. The liver also plays an important role in processing fats, glucose, and amino acids. if we want to give a liver-friendly diet, we give one in which the cofactors are more than sufficiently present. If there are already liver problems, it's sometimes better not to give raw food because it contains more bacteria. Easily digestible carbohydrates can also relieve the liver. Next to the liver, there is the gallbladder, a pear-shaped hollow muscle that collects the foreign bile salts from the liver and thickens it between meals. The bile salts have the effect of reducing the size of the fat particles, so that the fat enzymes can do their job better. As a result, fat-soluble vitamins are also better absorbed. 80% of the bile salts are recycled, but that's only possible if there is enough taurine present. Taurine also ensures that the bile salts are liquid. Since the bile is formed in the liver, a malfunctioning liver can affect the production of bile. It's therefore very important to keep the liver healthy. Problems with the bile or bile secretion may include inflammation, stones, liver malfunctions, or mucus in the gallbladder. Yellowing of the skin, gums, white of the eyes is one of the most common symptoms of bile disorders in dogs. Other symptoms may include loss of appetite, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal pain, weight loss, the colorless stools, and fever. If you think your dog has a bile problem, consult your vet immediately. A gallbladder-friendly diet can limit its fats. Eat several times a day and ensure that enough taurine can be made from the amino acids methionine and cysteine. Next in the digestion tract are the intestines. And distinction can be made between the small intestine and the large intestine. The small one is for the digestion of the food, the absorption of the nutrients, and the first-line immunity. And the large one thickens the nutrient broth. The big difference between humans and dogs is that the intestines of humans are longer than those of dogs. As a result, dogs are less able to digest plant material. But fibers in the food is necessary for a properly function of the gut microbiome. So if you want to add vegetables, cook them or chop them fine, like I said earlier. The gut microbiome of a dog is also different from that from a human. It's more diverse. There can be a lot of problem with the intestines. As you can see on the slide, some issues should be looked at right away by the vet. In case of serious intestinal problems, it's also better not to give raw food, but better to skip over to cooked food. It's easier to digest and there are less bacteria in the food. There can also be parasites like worms in the intestines. It is possible to support the dog through food to prevent worms. If you give your dog grounded pumpkin seeds, the worms will get weaker and eventually die. Bromelain from pineapples also kills worms. They digest them. It's a digestive enzyme. There are also several herbs that are used against worms, but it's better to use them under the supervision of a professional. To help the intestines to accommodate the right bacteria, we can use prebiotics, for example, chicory root, to feed the remaining good bacteria, and we can use probiotics to increase the colonies of the good bacteria. Also, the fibers from vegetables are good to feed the good bacteria. When we talk about the gut, we usually also talk about the microbiome in the same breath. With microbiome, we mean the microorganisms in the gastrointestinal tract. It consists out of billions of bacteria, fungi, and yeasts. who help it with digestion, keep the intestinal mucosa intact, and ensure that harmful microorganisms such as viruses and worms do not get the upper hand. Age, stress, unadjusted diet, certain medication, too little exercise, and prolonged diarrhea can have a negative influence on the biome. Pre and probiotics can have a positive influence. On this slide, you can see the difference between small and the large intestine diarrhea. If you have to go to the vet because of diarrhea in your dog, they should be able to determine whether it's a small intestine or a large intestine problem. Then this slide is useful to check what fits for your dog. So this was the digestion. Let's go over it one more time. Digestion in the dog does not really start in the mouth, but in the stomach, where the acid and pepsinogen are important. From the stomach, it goes to the small intestine, where the pancreatic juices and bile acids are released. Food is further digested in the small intestine, and the necessary macro and micronutrients are also absorbed. The sludge is taken in the large intestine. So now that we know what's in food and why we need it, and have a look at the dog's digestion, we can go further and look at the specific needs in specific situations. If food is good for the individual, always depends on life stage, condition, season, environment. This for us as humans, but is also for our dogs. This is one of the reasons why this lecture does not discuss what is good nutrition and what is not. What may be good for one dog is certainly not always good for another. What I do want to say about nutrition is adjust it. Look at your dog's need. When your dog is a little too sick, give a little less. When he's a little too thin, give a little more. For example, if the dog goes to a daycare, he will probably have used a little more energy that day, and he will be able to use a little bit more food. Also make sure that cofactors are supplemented during a period of stress. This is even possible with some vegetables or some fruit added to their meals. Yeah, in life stages, the first life stage is puppies. We have all heard about goat's milk for dogs. Goat's milk could be served as a breast milk substitute. It has almost the same amino acids and fatty acid pattern. It's also easy to digest, and the milk stimulates the gut and protects the gut. For adults, goat's milk can be a supplement because of the BCAAs, so the amino acids for muscle buildup, but certainly not for every dog. If you think about the lactose and the fat percentage. Next is proteins. Proteins is also something they talk about when they talk about puppy food. The sources of proteins can be both animal and vegetable in dog food. It's important that it's from a high quality, like animal proteins. The better the ratio of the essential amino acids in the protein corresponds to the amino acids that the puppy needs, the better the biological value of the protein is. But the biological value says nothing about the digestibility and therefore nothing about the absorbability. Too much of poorly absorbable proteins can have a negative influence on the body as they has to be accessed from the body. Another thing we've all heard is the calcium phosphorus ratio. Preferably, there is a 1.2 times more calcium than phosphorus in the diet, maximum 1 to 1.6 times more. If the ratio is not okay, problems with the skeleton can occur. With fresh food, a slightly too high calcium content compared to phosphorus is less of a problem than with kibble because natural forms of calcium can be excreted, but too much is really not okay. Unnatural forms of calcium cannot be completely excreted and have a negative influence on the calcium balance in the body. Like both too high and too low levels of calcium can cause bone and other problems. For adult dogs, a high calcium level is not really a problem. It has because it's excreted from the body. Number 4 are the intestines. To make the puppy resistant to certain diseases such as Giardia and kennel cough, a good immunity is required. This is achieved by keeping the intestines in top condition. And to keep the intestines in optimum form, the right bacteria are needed. To ensure that the intestines are occupied with good bacteria, probiotics can be given from 6 weeks of age. And so we come to the next on the list, the cesarean section versus natural birth. During birth, the puppy normally comes into contact with the bacterial flora of the vagina. These are necessary for building up the gut microbiome. Puppies born by cesarean section lack this, but they do come in contact with bacteria because the mothers lick them and because they drink from non-sterile nipples. Puppies need those bacteria to build up a healthy microbiome. You can support it by giving the bitch probiotics. It goes through the milk to the puppy. The last one on the list is omega-3. Omega-3 oil is important for brain development. And then take an omega-3 oil where DHA is that there is more DHA than EPA, like in algae oil. Brains are made up about 50% fat, and DHA is a big part of that. This can be given up to 12 months of age, depending on the breed. After this, you can switch to fish oil that contains more EPA than DHA. Now we are going to talk about the older dogs. In the older dogs, we often see muscle atrophy, and to limit this through food, it's necessary that they take in the necessary amino acids, in particular leucine, isoleucine, and valine, also known as BCAAs, branched chain amino acids. These should make up about 40% of the total intake of amino acids. They can be found in meats, liver, eggs, and oats. They can also be given as a supplement. It's best to give them between meals, so there is no competition with the other amino acids in the food. Then there is aging. One of the factors in aging are the free radicals. These arise in the body due to various causes like oxygen exchange, toxins, radiation, nutrition. To limit these radicals that do have a function in the body, we need antioxidants. We find these in fruits and vegetables. There is even a value for it, the ORAC value. Fruits with a high ORAC value are pomegranate, blueberries, strawberries, and raspberries. Vegetables with a lot of antioxidants are kale, spinach, broccoli, and beets. Older dogs can have all kinds of joint problems. By adding supplements to the diet or slightly adjusting the diet, you can reduce them. As supplements, there are glucosamine, chondroitin, MSM, collagen, curcuma, blackcurrant, devil's claw, salix. In the diet, you can look at things that contain more vitamin C. Vitamin C is an essential cofactor in the collagen synthesis, and it's found in fruit and vegetables. Also, in the diet, you have to have enough omega-3. Omega-3 is important in keeping inflammation under control. So a fatty fish is a must in the menu. As extra to the diet, you can give bone broth containing the necessary minerals and vitamins, as well as the glucosamine and chondroitin. There can also be digestive problems with older dogs due to the less of stomach acid. They may have reduced production of stomach acid when the necessary with the necessary inconveniences as a result. For dogs that are on a raw diet and they throw up bits of bones, it's better to grind the carcasses. Dogs that eat only kibble will probably suffer less of too little stomach acid because they have there are more carbs in their food, and carbs don't need a very acid stomach. Older dogs can also have kidney problems. The function may be less good. After it has been extensively tested at the vet, the diet can be adjusted and supplements can be used. Which supplements depends on which IRIS class the dog is in. This is classified with a score from 1 to 4, where 4 is the most severe. In general, phosphorus is best kept to a minimum. Foods with a higher phosphorus value are red meat, rabbit carcass, and non-organic vegetables. Meat in general contains phosphorus. The reduction in meat, not too much because older dogs also need the proteins, can be compensated with fats. Organs also contains quite a lot of phosphorus, and this can be replaced by rumen. Carbs are also a nice addition to the diet. So pasta, white rice, pumpkin, sweet potato are good. Oatmeal, brown rice are best avoided due to their phosphorus content. Bones can be replaced in the diet with calcium supplements or eggshell powder. Chicken leg bone broth can also be positive for dogs with kidney problems. They drink more then. Supplements, as a supplement for moderate renal insufficiency, you can obtain solidago and dandelion root. Both stimulate kidney function. Due to the frequent urination, more water-soluble B vitamins are also used. A multivitamin can be a solution. Omega-3 inhibits the loss of kidney function and reduces the loss of proteins through the urine. And cordyceps can be used to improve kidney function even in acute renal failure. And for the cognitive ability, you can support them through food or with supplements. Like with the puppies, fats are important for the brain. DHA is important to keep the dog's brain healthy. So fatty fish or a good omega supplement should be part of the diet. There is also MCT oil. This can be served as fuel for the brain. This oil does not require any energy from the body to converse and therefore does not put any strain on certain organs. An older dog can also benefit from choline, half vitamin that can cross the brain barrier, is essential for the production of the neurotransmitter acetylcholine. This neurotransmitter is very important for the brain. It ensures a healthy stimulus transfer. The herb ginkgo biloba improves blood flow in the brain, resulting in a better function of the brain, but can help the older dog. From the points that we have discussed, we can assume that certainly older dogs need enough cofactors, amino acids, and fats in their diet, especially when we know that their absorption of these things is no longer as optimal as with younger dogs. Now we have arrived at the last part of the lecture. I'm briefly going to discuss some herbs, but as mentioned in the beginning, always check before you use a herb because of the contraindications. The first one is milk thistle. It's commonly known as the herb for the liver. This because his seeds support the different phases of the detoxification. It can also help prepare and protect the liver. The bitter substances that are present they also stimulate digestion. You can choose to simply give the ground seeds loose or in pill form, but you can also take a tincture from milk thistle, but a tincture contains alcohol, and not every dog wants to ingest alcohol. Then there is the nettle, often used by humans in the spring to purify the blood, and because it's full of micronutrients. It's a herb that can certainly be used to replenish minerals in the body. Nettle can also provide relief when there is an allergy, such as hay fever. Usually, the herb itself is used in an addition to the meal, but it's certainly also possible to make a tea from it and give it so, or put some in over the meal. If you want to dry nettles yourself, you can do it, but best in spring and use the young buds. The next herb is dandelion. Who does not know them? Like the nettle, this part is also full of micronutrients. It's also diuretic and has a good effect on the digestion. The liver also benefits from dandelion. Dandelions should certainly not be forgotten when we put together a diet for the dog, or if you want to supplement any existing diets with vegetables. And then we are at the last one, the marshmallow. Marshmallow, if you know the plant, you know that it's very soft, that it has very soft leaves. And that's also what it does in the body. It softens tissues. This on the respiratory tract, on the digestion, and on the skin. Oh, we're at the end of my talk. Thank you for listening. And if there are questions, I want to hear them.
Thank you, Katleen. Thank you very much, Katleen. Do you want to stop sharing? Oh, you did. Brilliant. Yeah. I don't see any questions yet in the chat, but I'm sure they will.
Well, if there's none in the chat, I've got one. And since you said, thank you. First of all, thank you. Very interesting talk. But I've got a question, and that is, you said that tilted stomach should go straight to the vet. What symptoms do we see to, like, say, okay, my dog might have a tilted stomach?
When they can't eat, nothing goes through. When they want to drink and they can't. When the back is up, yeah, I don't know how. Yeah, you can
like
see
a
it.
Cat. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's it. They're in pain. Yeah. The belly can thicken a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. That
are
the
swollen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had one here a few years ago, and you just see it. Yeah. When you look at the dog, you know we have to go to the vets immediately.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Katleen, Monica Allaire has a question. Can you tell me what type of fatty fish you recommend, please?
Normally for the fats, for the omegas, for the oils, you take fish are in the deepest levels of the sea and the coldest ones. You don't take oils from fishes that are bred. You take wild fish from in cold waters.
So you mean like krill, mackerel, sardines, or these ones?
Krill oil, but that's
expensive, yeah.
Yeah.
It's Norwegian, isn't it?
And not everybody likes to use it.
Right.
Krill oil. But the fish has to live in cold waters and not be bred in waters.
You mean not farmed fish?
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah.
Yeah, deep water salmon? No, 'cause it's
Yeah.
bad.
Yeah, salm oil, yeah, could be. But I don't use bottles. I use pill forms for
Right.
oils.
Denise says tilted stomach also can be seen when the dog wants to throw up, but nothing comes out.
Yep. That's correct. Nothing goes in and nothing comes out because the stomach has turned over the entrance and the exit, so nothing can come in, nothing goes out.
I have a question about oatmeal porridge, because I've heard that it is okay to give porridge, but it's, this food thing is very controversial. But I wondered if you meant that older dogs shouldn't have oatmeal, or is it all
because
dogs?
just the older dogs,
Okay.
because of the phosphorus in it.
Okay.
And when you have not all older dogs, but if you have an older dog with kidney problems, it's better not to use that.
Okay. Thank you. Any other questions, guys? Stephen, do you want to unmute yourself?
What it is with this is that I think we all have to like sort of digest it.
Just is bloat the same as a tilted stomach?
No, it's not. Bloat, there can be a lot of gas in the stomach, and that can make the stomach turn over, but it's not because it's not the same. Bloat is reversible. A tilted stomach needs an operation.
Okay. Yeah. Well, thank you for the talk. I just found it fascinating. Is there any material that I can, because I'd like to find out more about what you've spoken about. Is there any reading material available, or can you suggest any books?
In English?
Yes, please, if possible.
I will look it up and I will send it to Laura, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fine. No, it's just, thank you so much. It's been a fascinating talk. We've got 2 rescue Salukis, and one of them was had all sorts of problems. She was only one of 2 other surviving litter mates, found on the 10th floor balcony, starving and full of parasites. She had a horrendous start to her life, and over the years we've tried to improve her diet to help her, because she had all sorts of allergies, and bless her, she's such a lovely dog, but I'd just like to try and improve her life as well.
Okay.
Yeah, no, but like I say, thank you for such an amazing talk. It's absolutely fascinating.
Thanks, Stephen. I'm sure you have some questions brewing there, you guys. We've got this wonderful person to answer our questions.
May I have a question? If you have a pancreatic problem, so you have a lack of intrinsic factor, would it be better to have the vitamin B12 by infusion? Because if you have a lack of intrinsic factor, I think it's not a good idea to make it oral, so by eating.
No, but they can do it subcutaneous. Give it by injections.
Yeah, this is what I meant. Is it better to do it better by injections than by feeding?
Yeah, if if you have a big problem, injections are better.
Okay.
And if you want to do it oral, you have different types of B12, and don't know out of my mind which ones. Then you have to look up which ones are better than the other ones. There are some that they can pick up. The body can pick up easier than the other ones.
Yeah.
So if it's not a big problem, you can use oral. But if it's a serious problem, then use injections.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Katleen, you're looking for adenosylcobalamine and methylcobalamine.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I would just like to come in with one little thing here as well, and that is if you agree on that. One thing that I see on people sometimes is that what they are doing is that we, as humans, sometimes we obsess on, like when we're talking having a balanced diet for our dogs, you know, and we obsess on having a balanced diet like on every meal.
That's not necessary, yeah.
Exactly. Okay. Yeah. Fine. That's what
our food isn't balanced every day, but if
go.
you look at through a week or a month, you can look like there are enough vegetables in it, there is enough organ in it, there is enough carcass in it. You don't have to look at on a day. We don't do it per day. It's like in a week, in a month, they had everything.
Yeah.
It's the same for us.
Exactly. No, but the thing is, it's sometimes, especially when we're talking dogs, and like what I've seen is that people, all of a sudden, you talk about, no, you have to make a balanced diet for the dog. You know, turn around and say, okay, so I have to make sure that I get everything in every meal. And you said, no, you don't have to do that.
That's not necessary.
Yeah. Thank you.
Else I can't say those words. Can you say them?
Yeah, but I just said so to Katleen. I'm just writing it down.
Okay.
Because maybe when I pronounce it, not everybody had time to write it down.
That's the thing, else you have to write it because no one can pronounce that.
Thank you.
Adenosylcobalamine and methylcobalamine, but I have no idea how to pronounce it in English.
Is it methylcobalamin?
Yeah, that might be it.
Yeah, interesting.
And I can tell you by experience that you can that you can give enough orally to your dog to get the levels high enough.
Thank you.
It is probably very helpful to work with someone like Katleen because you can get the balance wrong, can't you? I mean, you can't just go. I mean, maybe you can do some with herbs like milk thistle and nettle and dandelion marshmallow, but I think in terms of trying to balance, unless you know a lot, balance the B12. I don't know. At least with humans, it's quite a delicate matter, isn't it? I mean, you could, take too much of something, then deplete something else. What do you think, Katleen? Yeah.
But if you give supplements like B12 or zinc, it's necessary to do blood work every 3 months, every 6 months to take a look at is it okay that I give so much, or do I have to give more, or do I have to give another supplement? You can't give it and not look at it. That's not okay.
Isn't it that, I would say, if I may, that with basically, as long as you keep what we said before, have a balanced diet, and that means that you shouldn't really need any supplements. So as soon as so if you start with supplements, you really need to keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
and know why you're doing it.
Yeah. But like B12, some dogs can't absorb B12, and B12 is necessary for certain functions. You have to give it as a supplement, but then you have to check through blood work. Is it okay that I give so much? Do I need to give more? Do I need to give oral, or do I need to give injections?
Yeah.
For me, it's important to do the blood work. If you give supplements, you have to do it.
Yeah.
I'm not familiar with here in the UK that very many, except maybe Nick Thompson, the holistic vet, very many professionals do this kind of thing. Do they, Penny? I mean, do you know of anyone?
Not really.
No.
I'm not even sure Nick Thompson does it anymore. I don't know what he does. Obviously, he's really one of the better people here for if you want to consult about food. But he's very, not this is a bad thing, but he's very pro raw food.
Who's that? Sorry, who say?
Nick Thompson.
Oh, Nick Thompson. Sorry, yeah, he is.
Yeah.
Definitely. He's mates with Dr. Connor Brady in Ireland. There is a question. Thanks, Penny. There is a question from Evie. I hope I pronounced your name properly. She can't unmute. She said, hello, Katleen, very interesting info. Thank you. What is your view on dogs self-selecting in the supplements such as zoopharmacognosy? That's a good question.
Yeah. Now I have to think how to say it in English. I think it's okay if you know, but if you work with essential oils, not all essential oils you can give to your dogs and lick. You have to know which essential oils they can take more of than other essential oils. I don't know how to form it right in English, because not all essential oils are so good to Just let me think first.
Anders moet het mij in het Vlaams zeggen.
Ja, dat je niet elke essentiële olie gewoon mocht
Just a minute, I'll translate in a second.
Je mag niet elke essentiële olie gewoon zoveel geven dan ze nemen. Omdat dat slecht kan zijn voor de lever. Dat je ook moet nadenken van wat biedt het aan en hoeveel biedt dat aan.
Secondje. So not every essential oil should be given ad lib to your dog, because oils are very taxing on the liver, and you should keep in mind how much you offer and how often you offer it.
Right.
Thank you
for the translation.
Thank you, Team Belgium. What maybe perhaps Evie, I can't ask your question. Oh, so supplements are given in zoopharmacognosy also. This is what I was thinking she might mean. So instead of adding it in the food, the dog self-selects nettle powder, etc. You know, those parts of zoopharmacognosy.
Yeah. That's the same when you make a tea of it, infusion, and you put it next to the drinking boil. They can take it if they want to, and if they don't want to, they don't take it.
Well, I have something to say about that, if you don't mind, because as you know, Kathleen, I help Lisa, who I believe has had an undiagnosed gastric ulcer years ago, but she has always had a very sensitive digestion. At the moment that she had, in my opinion, the gastric ulcer, she did self-select the marshmallow root. And that is what got her better and actually healed the ulcer, or allowed her body to heal the ulcer. But if I, only days later, when she was clearly much better, she wasn't selecting it anymore. But I knew, I mean, the stomach lining could not be healed by then. So I did not give her a choice at that point. I said, I'm going to put it in your food because I know that your body will still do something good with this. So at that point, I do not agree to her not selecting it, because she's a dog that would not have any vegetable, any fruit, any herb, anything, unless the situation gets really that bad to have a gastric ulcer. I do absolutely want to make sure that we do never have that situation ever again. So if I see that she has an issue, and I see that with her, that she goes swallowing more often and that she asks food more often during the day, then she gets the marshmallow root, whether she selects it or not. It goes in her food, period. And it helps her.
But that's because you know your dog. And
Yeah,
you have to know your dog.
True. Yeah.
You have to know it. I don't know if all dogs are like that, but I think sometimes we know better than the self-selection of the dog.
I also had a dog which was treated with zoopharmacology when he was going through anxiety because of loud bangs outside, whatever that was, hunters or fireworks. And what did he get? Was it violet leaf, right? And he could lick copious amounts of it. And he never got an issue with his liver or his pancreas. But I got to check what violet leaf does to the neurological system when to one of the other dogs of the same household, violet leaf was offered. And at that moment, I was actually treating the dog. So I could feel the changes in the body, and I could feel the changes in the cerebrospinal fluid and in the frequencies of the brain functioning. And it was absolutely addictive. it was just addictive. So this person was like, I found something that I can help my dog with. I've got violet leaf, and I'm going to offer it every time that I have loud bangs. And it's expensive, and she would run through a bottle each evening.
Yeah.
So yes, zoopharmacology, it has its place.
Yeah.
But etc.
Yeah. No, but I think else what we're at, if I may, the thing at the end of the day is what Katleen just said: know your dog.
Yeah.
And that is something that we are talking about all the time. And that is, if we're talking about behavior, quote unquote, problems, or if we are talking about physical problems, or we're talking digestive problems, whatever, know your dog. Get to know your dog.
Yeah, and know what you're giving, and know how it interacts with things. And there's a huge amount of knowledge about what you give as well, and how much you give, and in what form you give it. Therefore, it does make a difference what type of B12 you give, even what type of pill do you give it in, like the B12. There's been many research papers on B12 in humans, and how we can, with pills, sublingual pills, the tablets that melt in the mouth, can really do as much good as the subcutaneous. But then you need to know which type you're giving and what type of pill you're using. So know your shit, know your dog.
Yeah.
I totally agree. It's the same with humans as well. That's why I'm a bit skeptical of just going and buying a bunch of vitamins and thinking, that's going to be great, because you can just really mess yourself up. And I'm not anti-vitamin at all. I rarely ever go to the doctor, I have to say. But for dogs as well. There's a comment from Monica, like the lemurs who lick the caterpillars and get high. Violet leaf. Maybe we all need a bottle of violet these days. Is it got the same effect for humans, or
liquor?
Liquor. All right. So Evie's happy with the answers. Thanks, Evie. Good. Thanks for your question. Oh, Monica says they also use them for parasite control. This is really interesting. We're not talking about lemurs tonight, but I've just learned a little bit about lemurs. All right, everyone. Thank you for your questions. Any more questions? Oh.
I don't know if there's any other countries, but here where I'm sitting in Spain, and in Spain we've got a deworming protocol that we have to follow. Now I'm like Kathleen, I'm lucky enough to have a multi-dog household, and so that means I'm taking all the sort of the passports of my dogs to the vet, and tell him to just seal each one of them and give me the deworming pills, and I say, don't worry about it, I'll give them to my dogs. But I haven't done so for the last 5 years or something like that, because I'm using what you said, the pumpkin seeds and stuff like that, and doing a sort of a natural one, because I really don't believe that you should go in and like, so if there's worms or whatever, then if you see that they have it, then you treat it. But if they haven't got, if you can't see it, why should you do it? It just doesn't make sense. But here in Spain, we've got this protocol that we have to legally follow. You know, so,
we don't have that in Belgium.
No, good for you, Belgium.
Chicory roots is also very good for deworming.
Yeah.
Yeah, we use it with the sheeps. They get it for several months a year, and we don't deworm them. It's not necessary.
No, it's not really.
Yeah.
It's like if it's more or less like, yeah, sorry.
Do you regularly check their feces?
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
It's like I had this argument with a vet once, and I said, well, it's like if I wake up in the morning, I take a pill because I might have a headache during the day, you know, instead of taking the pill if I have a headache, you know. I'm not taking a pill if like sort of preventing it from turning up.
No.
Alice says in Norway, she sends the stool samples to the vet, no worms, no pills needed. So
same here. You can send it to the Netherlands to check it.
Oh, right.
And then they send back which kind of deworming pill you have to use.
Yeah.
So, and if there aren't worms.
No, here in Spain, they've done it really simple for them, and it's you got like any kind of pill every 3 months. Every 3 months.
Wow,
that's a lot.
Yeah, and you have to seal. You have to seal that you're following the protocol every year, and it's just, well, sorry, but I like the one you said there, but like there are natural ways to do deworming, and so thanks for that.
There's a comment from Monica, but also a question from Evelina, who's I think joining us from Australia. Can you add ground pumpkin to every meal every now and then without checking the poo? Every time, sample all the time.
It's better to check the poo like every year and give grounded pumpkins. You can give a period grounded pumpkin seeds, and then give chicory roots for a period, and then give pumpkin seeds again. Then that's better than just give grounded pumpkin seeds every day.
Do you have to, sorry.
Yeah.
I just wondered if you have to soak the pumpkin seeds and then roast them beforehand.
No, I don't think so. You mean?
I read that somewhere. I don't know.
No, just ground them.
Just grind them. Okay. Yeah. And then, sorry. thought there was another question. No, sorry about that. I thought there was another question, but there is a comment from Monica. Recommendations in the Northeast of the United States for worms and ticks. Lyme disease is rampant here for people and dogs. Oh, she is asking a question. It's just a casually worded one. Any recommendations? Because they have Lyme disease, which is rampant because of ticks in the United States, in the Northeast.
So something for Lyme disease?
Something to prevent ticks, I guess. I don't quite know. Do you want to speak, Monica?
Sure. Yeah, I was kind of saying that we do have recommendations for monthly worming, but the ticks, monthly wormers.
Monthly?
Monthly.
Jesus.
Yeah.
That's a lot, eh?
Yeah, it definitely is, and it's similar for ticks. It's a pesticide you cover your dog's spine with. I'm more concerned about Lyme disease. I've got a couple of members of my family have it. Many dogs. I've had a few dogs who've gotten it, but we test regularly. But they're just the ticks are en masse here. When they're in season, there are thousands of them, and they're gross. They're everywhere. So I just wondered if anyone had any recommendations for repellent that isn't a pesticide I have to put on my dog.
Dr. Connor Brady sells something called Denim. I mean, I'm not selling his products or anything or getting any kickback, but I don't know. It's supposed to be for ticks as well. But it's worked really well for fleas for us. It's totally natural. You just shouldn't inhale it. I suspect diatomaceous earth and neem oil in it, but I don't know exactly.
But
the neem, yeah.
Denim.
Yeah, but does it work for ticks? Because it works for fleas because the exoskeleton is rubbed off. And the neem oil prevents that it lays eggs, but a tick, when it's on you or on the dog, it bites, and then it can give a Lyme infection.
Yeah.
So I don't really think it really works for ticks.
Alice in Norway says it does, apparently.
Okay.
I don't know. We don't have ticks here. It's too cold. No, there probably are ticks, but I don't know, Penny, if you ever get ticks on your dogs. Really? Okay.
Oh yeah, in the UK you should have.
Really? I've never had one in Cornwall for 6 years and none here either, but.
Not even the ticks wants to be in Cornwall.
You might upset someone.
More, my dogs don't get them a lot. I've seen a couple. It depends where you are. There's probably, like, if you walk on lots and lots of heathland or something, or in woods a lot, mine don't get them very much. I don't think I've seen one for, probably haven't had any for a good couple of years. So.
Yeah, I know some places are worse than others because I lived in San Francisco and in Marin County outside of San Francisco. They were, and actually on the Oregon coast, they were so bad. They were everywhere. The amphibians carry them in Marin County. So we thought there was no trees, no problem, but actually they were carried by, little lizards and absolutely everywhere. We thought they were spiders. We'd never seen them like that. In BC, in British Columbia, in Canada, before we came down the coast, we'd never seen anything like that. So horrible. So someone's asking about heartworms. I think we should just take a couple more questions and then let everyone go because it's been an hour, almost 2 hours now. No, an hour and a half, sorry. What about heartworms? Here in Greece, there is suggested medicine every month for a disease caused by it. Wow.
We don't really have lots of cases of heartworms here. So I don't really know lots about it.
Okay. What about Denise? Do you know about that? Anything natural, Denise?
Can you hear me?
Oh, I can
Hi,
hear
Grace.
Grace. Okay.
Yeah, I don't know where my picture is, but anyways, here, you know, that's also recommended in the US. They want you to give heartworm medication every month, you know.
Ooh.
But yeah, it's horrible. It's a poison, you know. So basically, there's a really good website. You can download an ebook from Dr. Faulkner called Vital Animals Don't Get Heartworm. And it's basically, if you have a strong immune system and you're, you know, eating correctly, you fight it off. The body just fights off, you know, like anything, it'll fight off anything.
Right.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you put that in the chat, do you think? Or do you want to send it to me and I'll send it to everyone when I send the PDFs and the recording? Because I'm going to send those things to all the people that signed up and I'm going to put them on the website. So maybe, Grace, that would be a fabulous resource.
Okay. Yep.
Or you can type it here as well, but I would love to add it to our resources as well on the website. Okay. Fantastic. Let's take one more question if there's another one. I see some comments. Yep. Oh. Thanks, Alice.
Uh-huh.
All right. Well, thank you very much. I don't see any more questions. Thank you so much from all of us at the Slow Dog Movement. Katleen, for your fantastic talk. It's just sort of like made everyone's appetite wet for more information. I can see that. And thank you very much to you all to come tonight and support the Slow Dog Movement and our speaker series. And I hope to see you all everywhere, you know, more events on our Facebook page and website. Everyone's thanking you, Katleen. Thank you so much.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much, Kathleen.
Yes, thank you.
Really interesting.
And all the resources, any resources or any more information I get from Katleen, I'll definitely pass on to you all. So
Thank you.
it's really good.
Okay. Bye,
Nice one.
everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Ta-da.
Bye.